Do you have anything to say about this? I made it? Yeah, but like the game, I mean, what do you think about the game? Like, what is it about? Is that why you kidnapped me and strapped me to a death trap? Yeah. Because you're Slight Right Slick, my secret evil doppelganger who will always disagree with all your opinions before the comments can. Yeah, that's right. I'm Slight Right. Yes, I know. Nick, right? I mean, tell me what this game is about, okay? And make it topical somehow. Topical. The Nintendo 64 game from 1997. Do it or the laser cuts you in half. Hey everyone, I'm playing the games I wasn't able to grow up with, and while I'm not quite Nick, I'm quite excited for the new James Bond game coming out soon, First Light 007.
A couple years back, Amazon acquired Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, aka MGM, aka the one with the lion, aka the IP holder for James Bond. Well, not anymore. Now it's in Bezos territory. Amazon MGM Studios has done basically nothing with the Bond franchise until now. This is a brand new James Bond story, not connected to any of the films that came before it. The James Bond franchise has had a long history of movie tie-in games spanning all the way back to the Atari 2600.
There's somebody in an old person's home right now who has childhood memories playing as Sean Connery on the Atari 2600 back in 1983. Probably an employee, but, you know, still.
This game isn't a movie tie-in, but that still doesn't mean Amazon's doing anything groundbreaking here. The literal first ever Bond game had an original story, and that came out in 1982. And it's so archaic by today's standards that it's basically one-player Discord roleplay.
Get to the point. Oh my God, give me 1 second, Jesus. Seeing the Bond franchise take a serious step into the modern gaming landscape makes me think back to its existing legacy in gaming. See, dude, patience. Which inevitably led me to the most influential movie tie-in video game of all time, and absolutely the most successful James Bond video game. GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64. Ask anyone over 30 about GoldenEye, and they will recount so many memories of playing this game split-screen couch co-op.
First-person shooters had been around by this point, mostly on PC, but in 1997, GoldenEye 007 was the first one to bring the split-screen FPS experience to home consoles, and on the N64, which was the only console on the market with 4 controller ports. The sleepover scene was just changed forever, the whole new meta.
And also, Doom 64 released that same year, but got absolutely mogged in sales by GoldenEye. 8 million sales, bitch. Take your sensitive ass back to MS-DOS. We're in consoles now. Oh my. Now, I was born 6 years after this game came out, so I grew up playing a lot of first-person shooters and had plenty of late-night sleepovers playing Halo 3 Forge split-screen. But with this new Bond game coming out, now seems like a good time to look back at where the franchise made its first big splash in the gaming world. No other reason. Okay? But, like, what? What about the movie? You have to talk about the movie. That's where the game came from. Oh, come on. The movie? Of course. I think it's pretty good. Oh, well, then you know my thoughts on it, Mr. Evil Doppelganger me. Okay, killing you now. Fuck.
GoldenEye the movie released in 1995 and was Pierce Brosnan's first time in the iconic Bond role. Growing up in the 2000s, I had only seen the Daniel Craig movies, which took a much more self-serious and grounded approach to the Bond canon. This movie is not that. GoldenEye is the first James Bond movie made after the Cold War had ended, so with Russia now a tentative ally in like the global theater, it would be kind of crazy if they made them the villains again. They're the villains again. GoldenEye is actually a Russian satellite capable of firing a precise EMP over any area in the world, and this is what the characters fight over control for throughout the film. It's the 1990s, so playing into the fears and hysteria of a world increasingly reliant on computers, an EMP is like the scariest thing you could think of. besides maybe gay marriage. We open with a flashback from 9 years ago, where Bond is infiltrating a Russian base in probably the most conspicuous way imaginable. This also happens at the end of the first level of the game, where you assume control of the legendary 00 agent to mow down a few rooms of Russian soldiers before arriving at the jump point. It took me a good bit to get used to the controls because they were very unlike any other game I've played, on a controller unlike any I've ever used. But hey, I'm no stranger to weird controllers. I grew up on the Wii. This should be easy. To move around, you have to... No, not like that. Put your hand... Yeah, perfect. Since there's only one analog stick, this game uses tank controls. Pressing forwards and backwards moves you forwards and backwards, but pressing left and right turns you rather than strafes you in that direction. Aiming down sights prevents you from moving and is extremely tedious, but you can fire with or without it. When I tried shooting my first enemy, I really thought there was just no way I was going to complete the game. I promise I was trying as hard as I could here. But I realized with auto-aim I can mostly get by with just hip firing, and auto-aim is absolutely broken in this game. In the movie, Bond quietly breaks into the base and rendezvous with Alec Trevelyan, aka Agent 006. We meet Trevelyan after loudly killing dozens and dozens of soldiers with automatic weapons. Stealth mission, by the way. In the game, you just throw some charges on these gas tanks you're meant to destroy and then walk out. But in the movie, Trevelyan gets caught, forcing James to shorten the timer of the explosive for a quicker escape. Trevelyan gets shot point blank in the face, hastily off screen, but like he ate that shit. Since there's actually no sequence where this happens in the game, I made sure to preserve the canon and take care of him myself. Bond rides a little luggage belt out of there and then chases a plane off a cliff with a motorcycle to make his escape.
Jesus Christ, how do you start a movie like that? I just sat down.
That's like what it was like when I was watching the movie. Okay, Family Guy.
In the game, though, you just walk across the runway and get into a parked plane. A rare instance where the game's version of the story is actually less bombastic than the movies. Except you are still getting shot at. There is never a moment in the game where you are not being shot at, just to be clear. Okay, so up until now, the game's story has been in step with the films, for the most part. But as anyone who's played movie tie-in games before knows, there's almost always filler levels put in place of the long talking scenes or whatnot because those would be boring to play. Bond flirting with 2 women at once while going 90 on a cliffside would be boring to play. Wait, seriously? This guy's awesome. Okay, yeah, after a pretty cool title sequence with a font choice that made me just about want to rip my skin off.
I liked it.
We're taken to the present day just in time to watch the traffic violation Olympics. But in the game, we're still in flashback world. This time, 4 years in the past. While previous levels have had pretty linear layouts, this is the first map that really opens up and lets you explore it all at once. We just got to disable the comms tower that I imagine they pulled from this single establishing shot and then sneak into the base. Meanwhile, Movie Bond rizzes up Car Lady by taking her money in poker because he's awesome before hitting the franchise checkboxes.
Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred. The name's Bond. James Bond.
Oh, he said the thing! He said the thing in the movie! Honey, come here! He said the thing!
Now in the bunker, we kill a bunch of guys to copy the GoldenEye key and then take a picture of the satellite screen for evidence, I guess. It's probably explained in the mission briefing, but like, who's reading all that? In the next level, we're 2 years in the past, infiltrating a Russian missile silo to snap pics of the GoldenEye satellite, and on higher difficulties, rig charges to blow it up. I was playing on the easiest difficulty because after that first level, I genuinely didn't think I could beat the game without it, but I learned later that apparently some levels have more objectives on higher difficulty, so whatever. Also, for the easiest difficulty, still a hard game, but I got in and out, snapped a pic, and it says minimize scientist casualties, but that's more of a suggestion, really. Anyways, back in movie world, we're inside a battleship, watching our favorite Russian lady Xenia have hilarious crazy sex with a Russian general. She kills him by, and I swear I'm not making this up, crushing him to death with her thighs. This is so she and her accomplice, General Oramov, can use his ID to steal a special new EMP-proof helicopter. In the game, we board the battleship in the middle of the ocean and attach a tracker to the helicopter. Also, we finally caught up to modern day. Movie Bond learns about the hijacking too late to really do anything about it, but video game Bond is given a whole MI6 briefing on it, with instructions to bug the helicopter, and also has to prevent a bomb from going off and save hostages, so we have a reason to shoot people, basically. The whole hostage saving thing is also more of like a suggestion. 00s aren't really known for their crisis management. Back in Russia, we meet Boris and Natalia, 2 programmers for the GoldenEye satellite. Boris uses a Wojak of himself to sexually harass Natalia before leaving just in time to avoid Xenia and Armov, who kill everyone except Natalia. They steal the GoldenEye launch codes and then fire it on the base to cover their tracks. Natalia, the sole survivor, escapes unscathed but is quickly captured. This next level has us going through the same open-ended map as before, but now with like a creepypasta skybox, which is very fitting because this level was an absolute nightmare to complete. My bad, I missed the invisible keycard on the floor in this one innocuous cabin. You're right, I guess that means I failed the entire thing and have to start over. Yes, of course, my bad. We infiltrate the bunker and immediately get captured. That's the end of the level. In the next level, we meet Natalia, who is in a jail cell next to ours. And what follows is a super similar level to the bunker one from earlier, but this time Natalia has to be escorted out before GoldenEye gets set off on the base. Now, if you've been paying attention to the two stories, this is obviously super different than how things went down in the movie. In fact, at this point in the film, Bond and Natalia still haven't even met yet. He's still in England when that happens, getting told off by M and getting mouse tools from Q. Side note, this is my favorite scene in the movie. There's just so much going on in the background and it's really charming. There's no Q scene in the game. In fact, let's just skip over like 30 minutes of sleuthing and investigating.
Boring!
Before Bond and the player have arrived at the statue graveyard to confront the shadow villain we've been chasing. I've clowned on this movie a good bit up until now, and I mean, yeah, a man is killed between this woman's thighs. I think there's some room to poke fun. But one thing I will absolutely applaud it for is its incredible production design and miniature effects throughout. There is a timeless charm to in-camera practical effects. Whether you can tell it's fake or not, it's all part of the charm. And setting this climactic villain reveal amid the literal ruins of the Soviet Union is an incredibly striking visual. Naturally, while Movie Bond gets a sneak around this derelict graveyard, we're bombarded by waves upon waves of Russian guards in the pitch black. I get it's supposed to be nighttime, but it looks like I got hit with the potion of darkness from Minecraft. Like, I cannot see where I'm going. We stumble our way through the fog to meet who's been pulling the strings behind the scenes, and it's Alec Trevelyan, 006. Bum, bum, bum! We clearly watched him take a bullet to the face by a gun that is proved seconds later to have actual lethal capabilities. I don't want to harp on this too much. I don't want to go all cinema sims here, but the film never even provides an explanation for how his death is faked, so we kind of just have to like totally suspend our disbelief.
I mean, I guess I didn't really think about that. Yeah, I don't know. My headcanon is he's a zombie.
Before Bond can do anything, he gets tranked and wakes up in the stolen helicopter with Natalia, set to self-destruct. The helicopter, not Natalia. They escape through the ejector seats, but then they get arrested by the Russian cops. In the game, Trevelyan just runs away and the helicopter appears at spawn for you to save Natalia, and then the police show up. Alright, well, since the first couple of levels, the game is actually following the film's story a bit closer. Bond finally meets Natalia, and interacting with a Russian woman goes about as well as you'd expect, but they get quickly broken up by the guards for questioning. Oramov, who we know now is actually Trevelyan's pawn and is working outside of the Russian government, shows up and kills the police after Natalia reveals what she saw in the bunker, and basically says no one will believe you. A shootout and a chase sequence ensues, which is where the next level in the game starts off. Just like in the movie, Bond escapes, but Natalia gets captured again, which leads James Bond to committing what should, by all accounts, be considered an international act of terror. James Bond, a member of British intelligence, hijacks a Russian military tank to chase after Oramov's car and causes millions of dollars in property damage in the process. This is in downtown St. Petersburg, which is like Russia's New York City. He crashes through buildings, sidewalks, and while we don't see it, definitely other people. Look at that. He even destroys the Bronze Horseman, which is a very old, very real-life statue, which, following the New York analogy, would be like destroying the Statue of Liberty.
The Cold War just ended and a member of British intelligence is committing softcore 9/11. Forget EMPs, little bro. They're hanging you for this. Whoa, hold on. The tank scene is awesome. I mean, yeah, it is awesome, but wait, is that the first thing we actually agree on? I think it is actually, yeah. Okay. Do you think maybe we can just sort of like call it with the laser trap, or I mean, I can just cut you in half right now. To my great surprise, the game translates this scene almost perfectly.
You drive the tank. You shoot the gun. Again, you're not supposed to kill the civilians because it could start an international incident, but like, I started one the moment I hit the gas, so those guys better get out of the way because I got a license to kill. Some twists and turns get you to the end of the level pretty quickly, but this one's gotta be one of my favorites for just how memorable it is. Bond pursues Oramov to a train yard where he watches him and Xenia drag Natalia on board, and did anyone else think this train looks a little... Trevelyan is on board and is extremely rapey the whole time.
Okay, so there's a pattern now, and I gotta woke out for a second. In this movie, if the character is a villain, then their unwanted sexual advances are depicted as gross and evil. But when Bond does it, it's awesome. Is it okay because he's the good guy?
Never seen you after hours, Moneypenny. Lovely. Out on some kind of professional assignment? Dressing to kill? What would I ever do without you?
You know, this sort of behavior could qualify as sexual harassment.
I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
And just to be clear, I understand that some of this is a product of the film's time, but what bothers me is the film's apparent self-awareness of these double standards without actually doing anything about it.
I know I'm not breaking new ground with this take or anything, but it really bothered me the whole time I was watching it. Okay, I'm done woking out now. I just had to get that out of my system. Where were we? Gun violence. Right, thank you.
After the tank level, we fight through the train yard in a very straightforward point A to point B level, which ends when we board Trevelyan's train right after it takes off. This does not happen in the movie. Bond gets on the train by parking the tank in the middle of the tracks, shoots at it, and then watches them collide, grinding the train to a halt. It's somehow genius and hilarious. I love it. I also really like the train level, where we fight our way up through the train cars, disabling the brakes as we go. Uncharted 2, eat your heart out. They were doing this shit in 1997. Armov takes Natalia captive, making Bond choose between saving her and killing him. False dichotomy, I kill all of them. Bitch, I'm 2-0. The train's rigged to explode, which gives us the one and only opportunity to use a Q gadget. The watch laser. It's very jank, but it's charming and shakes things up a bit, so I like it. Natalia finds where Trevelyan's base is located, and Bond pulls them out with moments to spare before the train blows up, and I can't unhear that Toby Fox explosion sound effect. They kiss, despite showing zero interest in one another prior to this. And then to Cuba we go!
It's for later.
While on the search for Trevelyan's base, their helicopter gets shot down. It turns out the whole base was being hid underwater. The game's next level picks up right after the helicopter crash, where we fight through the woods to get to the base. Natalia's also armed now and is really enjoying it. Like so much. I wish I could take the gun away. This was a particularly grueling level to get through, thanks to poor visibility and tough enemies. These turrets sucked because auto-aim doesn't catch them, so I had to actually aim for them for real. I know, yuck. Also, in this level, we finally get to square off with Xenia. In the film, she drops in right after the helicopter gets shot down to use her ult on James, which is squeezing him to death with her thighs. But Bond gets the best of her and she dies. In the game, well... The two slide into the facility via giant satellite dish and quickly get captured, but not before Natalia hacks into the GoldenEye satellite, disabling it. We learn Trevelyan's big plan is to fire the EMP at London right after draining the National Bank of all of its money, aka Y2K. He literally just wants to do a Y2K. British Y2K. Boris accidentally triggers Bond's exploding pen, which gives them the distraction they need to escape.
This level in the game is the hardest by far, and remember, I played it on the easiest mode. We break into the base and leave Natalia behind while we blow through guys to get to the control room. Yeah. Boris is here, but we're not supposed to kill him because Natalia will get sad. Seriously, if you kill him, she fails the level and you have to start over. Which is crazy because she didn't seem to have much of a conscience in the last level. She was dropping zingers. She was killing so many people. Okay, so now we have to let Natalia in so she can disable GoldenEye, but before that, we need to destroy these server towers around the area because once she finishes hacking, we'll be hit by unlimited waves of enemies, making everything way harder to accomplish. So I take out the servers, then get Natalia to hack in an incredibly stressful defense section where enemies are coming in from all sides and you have to catch every single one of them before they can shoot her, and she has very little health, so if she dies you have to restart the whole level, and this took me over 2.5 hours to beat this one level, which is longer than the actual movie's entire runtime. Dude, relax. It's a hard section, sorry. Yeah, I know, but you know, imagine if you weren't playing on easy mode. Oh, shoot, I gotta go. Be right back. But I did it. We persevere. Movie Bond makes a break for the satellite dish to disable it before GoldenEye can be put back on course, with Trevelyan at his heels. Before we get to climb the satellite though, there's a cave system under the base we have to escape out of, which really isn't notable in any way other than the cool layout. But now, it's time for the final level, the satellite dish. Movie M tells Bond not to make things personal, but Game N basically says, do whatever you want, we won't help. Take the shot. The level's layout is very accurate to the movies, except where Bond has a 1v1 with Trevelyan, we face off against the 75 soldiers that have been stationed on this small bit of scaffolding. Bond and Trevelyan's fistfight in the movie is my favorite bit of action in the whole thing.
They're tired and sweaty, trading sloppy blows under dingy lighting through the perspective of a shaky handheld camera. This is a personal fight between two guys with a real history, and that's depicted really well. After disabling the satellite antenna's mechanisms, we're able to chase Trevelyan down to the bottom of the scaffolding just like in the movie. Natalia hijacks a helicopter backup and Bond overpowers Trevelyan. There's a moment where I thought he might pull the "I'd be no better than you if I killed you" line, but no, he kills him. Just like raw murder. As for me in the game, I made sure that bitch was dead for real this time. I'm 3-0, game, set, match. GoldenEye explodes, Boris gets frozen solid, and Bond and Natalia smooch again. Let's go. The game ends, credits roll, and the two make out for the entire duration.
Hello? 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 I know. I'll use my laser watch to break out of the restraints. No. Maybe it's this one? Nope, not that one.
So now that the game's over, I think it is fair to say that the story makes zero sense if you haven't seen the movie. You can read through all the debriefs before each level to get an idea of what's going on, but it's still pretty jarring to go from hijacking a train in one level to being stranded in the middle of the jungle in the next one. GoldenEye 007 is a very bad story game. We barely try to even tell a story, but it's also a movie tie-in game, so you're kind of expected to have seen the movie that the game is about before playing it, especially because the game came out 2 years after the movie's release. You're not playing for the story. You're here to roleplay as the coolest man in the world in locations you recognize from his movie. Totally valid.
All right, sorry about that. I had a thing. Are you done? Yeah, you missed it. Okay. Did you say what it's about? I mean, I recapped the whole game. Did you talk about the secret levels? With the Aztec and Egypt levels, those are just bonus levels for beating the original story on higher difficulties. That's not part of the main story. So you just didn't? No, dude. All right, fine. Just what did you think overall? I imagine playing on newer hardware with like a better, more modern control scheme would make the game a lot more enjoyable. On something just like slightly newer, like the PS2. Yeah, that'd be fine. GoldenEye Rogue Agent released in 2004 for the PS2 and features an original story set in the 007 universe. We play as an ex-00 agent exploring the seedy underbelly of the James Bond world. His name? GoldenEye. Because he has a golden eye.
But in 2010, we finally did get a remake, GoldenEye 007 for the Wii, which was ported a year later as GoldenEye 007 Reloaded for the PS3 and Xbox 360.
I didn't play that when it came out, though. I was busy playing LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga.
This game fascinates me. It's a retelling of the GoldenEye 007 game, not the movie, but set in modern day with Daniel Craig Bond, a game whose story is based on a game that's based on a movie but uses characters from a different movie. Unbelievable. At the time of this game's release, first-person shooters were everywhere. COD was booming, Halo was in its heyday, and movie tie-in games had earned their rightful reputation of being soulless trash. So it's really not much of a mystery that GoldenEye Reloaded left zero cultural footprint.
Right, so what is GoldenEye 007 about? Dude, I just told you the whole story. Yeah, but like, what is it about? Oh shit. I'll be right back. In the modern day, though, the 30-year-olds who grew up playing GoldenEye 007 have formed a whole modding community around the game. GoldenEye X, Goldfinger 64, map imports, online multiplayer mods, local and online tournaments. 29 years later, and this game is still bringing people together. And I think that's what GoldenEye 007 is really about. Not EMPs or evil Russians, but about coming together with your friends and having a good time. Hey, I figured it out. It's about bringing people together. Who the fuck are you?